Have you ever imagined that a single bet could change not only your luck, but also your entire life? In a night full of games, tension, and impulsive decisions, four people find themselves at the epicenter of a casino where it's not just money that is at stake. A strong and determined woman, a tycoon accustomed to winning, a lost man trying to prove himself, and a girlfriend tired of false promises. But what happens when the cards on the table reveal more than secrets? Stay until the end, because this story has twists and turns that you will never forget. The Golden Star Casino was buzzing with the energy of a busy night. The sound of chips being stacked, nervous laughter, and the clanking of machines created an almost hypnotic soundtrack. Arthur, impeccable in his tailored suit, took center stage at the main poker table. He calmly observed every movement of the other players, an expression of confidence on his face. Across the room, Miguel tried to maintain his composure as he placed bold bets at a smaller table. Amanda, his girlfriend, sitting next to him, didn't seem as impressed as he expected. Valentina, the employee who served drinks in the area, observed the scene with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. "If you're trying to impress her, maybe you should bet less and listen more," Valentina said to Miguel as she handed him a glass of wine. He looked at her with a mix of surprise and irritation. "I know what I'm doing, thank you," he replied, adjusting the collar of his shirt. Arthur, who was watching the exchange from afar, smiled and decided to intervene. "Leave him. He's putting on a great show. I'll pay to see where this goes." Miguel cast a quick glance at Arthur, recognizing him as the player at the main table. Determined to prove he wasn't an amateur, he moved to Arthur's table and asked to join the next round. "He is sure?" asked Arthur, with a raised eyebrow. "Here, the game becomes more expensive." "I'm not kidding," Miguel replied, determined. The game started. The chips came and went, and the tension grew with each round. Amanda looked increasingly uncomfortable, but Miguel ignored her looks, focused on overcoming Arthur. Valentina, on the other hand, watched with a smile as if she knew exactly where this would end. In the decisive round, Arthur increased the bet, leaving Miguel with only one choice: retreat or put in all his chips. He chose the second option. "You don't have to do this, Miguel," Amanda whispered, holding his arm. He ignored her. "I'll call," he said, throwing his last chips on the table. Arthur revealed his cards, an impeccable straight flush. The table erupted in murmurs of admiration. Miguel turned pale. He had lost everything. "You bet everything to gain nothing. It seems that luck doesn't like you," said Arthur, putting away his chips with a discreet smile. Amanda stood up furious. "Did you want to impress me? Congratulations, it managed to disappoint me faster than I imagined." And he left the casino without looking back. Miguel stood there astonished, while Valentina approached to collect the chips from the table. "If it's any consolation, at least now you know not to underestimate a table like that," she said with a playful tone. Arthur laughed. "She's right. Consider this a lesson, boy." Valentina looked at Arthur and commented, ironically, "And you? Do you always win like this, or was it just today that you decided to teach a lesson in humility?" Arthur smiled, intrigued by her answer. "I like good surprises, and you seem to be one of them." Miguel sat on one of the bar stools, still stunned by what had just happened. He held his head in his hands as the events of the last round echoed in his mind. Amanda had left him, and he had lost more than money. He had lost the trust he thought he conveyed. On the other side of the casino, Arthur approached the bar with his aura of self-confidence. He wasn't there for another round of play, but for a conversation. Beside him, Valentina was adjusting the tray she was carrying, observing the scene carefully. "Are you well?" Valentina asked, placing a glass of water in front of Miguel. "Not really," he replied with a bitter laugh. "It seems I lost more than expected today." "Well, at least you still have a glass of water. It's not that bad," she said with a wry smile. Arthur, hearing the exchange of words, decided to intervene. "You're in the right place to learn, kid. Casinos have this incredible ability to teach you what it means to lose." "I didn't ask for your opinion," replied Miguel, his tone full of frustration. Valentina interrupted before the tension could escalate. "Perhaps it would be better to focus on what to do from now on, rather than arguing about who is right or wrong." Arthur, noticing Valentina's strength and insight, turned to her. "Do you always give such good advice, or is it something you learned here?" She responded with a challenging smile. "Let's just say the casino taught me how to read people. Some are open books, others need more time to be understood." Arthur laughed, clearly impressed. "And which category am I in?" "A riddle with blank pages. It looks interesting, but I still don't know if it's worth reading," said Valentina before leaving to wait on another table. As she walked away, Arthur watched her with genuine interest. Something about her intrigued him in a way he hadn't expected. It wasn't just the sharp tone or the way she maintained control. It was the authenticity. In the other corner of the casino, Amanda was about to leave when Valentina found her. The two exchanged looks, and Valentina decided to start a conversation. "He tried to impress you and ended up overdoing it, didn't he?" Valentina asked with an understanding tone. "More than that, he tried to be someone he's not," Amanda replied, crossing her arms. "I can say that you deserve someone who doesn't need chips to win you over," said Valentina, giving a friendly smile. Amanda sighed. "Maybe you're right. But for now, I think I need some distance from all of this." As Amanda left through the main door, Arthur and Valentina crossed paths again. He, with a curious look, asked one more question before she went back to work. "So, Valentina, if you understand so much about people, what would you tell me about yourself?" She stopped, looked at him, and said with a playful tone, "That I'm not the type of person who is easily impressed." Arthur stood still, smiling as she disappeared into the middle of the room. The next day, the casino was less busy, but still carried the usual glitter and frenzy. Miguel was sitting at one of the tables in the attached cafe, looking into his cup of cold coffee. He knew he had made a mistake, but he didn't know how to fix it. Amanda was in another corner of the casino, collecting her things. His eyes were steady, but there was an emotional weight to his movements. Valentina, upon noticing Amanda, decided to get closer again. "Are you better today?" Valentina asked, bringing a hot coffee. "Better than yesterday, which isn't very difficult," Amanda replied, letting out a short laugh. "I think it's time to move on." "You have more strength than you know," said Valentina, trying to comfort her. "And if he didn't realize that, that's his problem." Meanwhile, Arthur arrived at the cafe, this time without his usual confident pose. He saw Miguel and decided to sit next to him. "Did I go back to the casino for more lessons?" teased Arthur, trying to break the ice. Miguel looked at him, humorless. "If you came to provoke me, save your breath. I came to tell you something I learned years ago. Sometimes the biggest bet we make is not on the game, but on ourselves. And when we don't know who we are, we always tend to lose." "And why do you think you have the right to give me advice?" Miguel asked, still resentful. Arthur sighed and responded with a more serious tone. "Because I've been where you are. I've lost a lot trying to be someone I wasn't. The secret is to learn quickly and not repeat the same mistakes." Valentina, who was now a few meters away, heard the conversation and couldn't resist intervening. "If you two stop measuring egos for a minute, maybe you'll realize that no one here is as good as they think they are." Arthur laughed. "You always know how to enter at the right moment, Valentina." "It's a talent of mine," she said with an ironic smile. "But if you want free advice, maybe it's time for you two to look less at your desks and more at what really matters." Miguel looked at Valentina and then at Arthur. Despite their reluctance, it seemed that both of their words were beginning to make sense. He knew he would need more than luck to repair the damage he had caused, and perhaps for once he was willing to try. Meanwhile, Amanda was preparing to leave, but not without leaving one last message. If one day you decide to be honest with yourself, maybe we will meet again. Until then, goodbye, Miguel. Miguel remained silent, watching her go, while Arthur and Valentina exchanged meaningful looks, aware that something was changing. The casino seemed calmer that night, but the tension between those involved was far from dissipating. Valentina, who until then maintained her professional attitude, began to feel that she had become part of a plot that she had not chosen. Observing Arthur from afar, she decided to face him directly. "You seem thoughtful today. Have you finally realized that not every game can be won?" she asked, as she placed a cup of coffee in front of him. Arthur smiled, but not with the same air of confidence as before. "I think you're right. Sometimes the most complicated game is the one we play against ourselves." Valentina raised her eyebrow, philosophical for someone who normally only thinks about winning. "But I'm curious, what brought you to the casino besides winning and teasing others?" Arthur hesitated but decided to be honest. "I don't go to this place just for fun. I was investigating a fraud involving people inside the casino. My presence here is more strategic than it seems." Valentina leaned forward, intrigued. "So you're some kind of financial vigilante. Should I be worried?" Arthur laughed. "I would say I'm more of a strategist than a vigilante. But no, you don't need to worry. On the contrary, your intelligence is one of the few authentic things I have found here." Valentina looked away, trying to hide a smile. "So I'm a case study now?" "Something like that," replied Arthur, without losing his lightness. Meanwhile, in another corner of the casino, Amanda and Miguel had an unexpected encounter. Miguel, with a calmer expression than usual, approached her. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to talk to, but I need to apologize," he began. Amanda crossed her arms. "It took a while, but keep going. I lost a lot trying to be someone I'm not, and in the process, I ended up losing you. It was the biggest mistake I made. You were right in everything you said." She watched him for a moment, gauging the sincerity in his words. "You know, Miguel, recognizing your mistakes is a good start, but I don't know if that's enough. Maybe you need time to discover who you really are." "And you? Have you found out who it is yet?" he asked, more like an attempt to understand than an attack. Amanda gave a small smile. "Maybe it's closer to that than you think." While Miguel reflected on his words, Arthur and Valentina continued their conversation. He revealed more details about the fraud, explaining how the culprits used the casino to embezzle large amounts of money. "And why are you telling me all this?" Valentina asked, suspicious. "Because you seem like someone I can trust. And honestly, I don't know why I feel this way, but I believe you're also looking for something bigger than just working here." Valentina was silent for a few seconds before responding. "Maybe you're right, but that doesn't mean I trust you yet." Arthur smiled. "I don't expect you to trust. Just let me prove that I'm different." The night arrived with a calmer atmosphere, but full of unspoken expectations. Valentina, Arthur, Miguel, and Amanda were in different parts of the casino, each processing the recent changes in their lives. But it was clear that an outcome was approaching. Arthur decided to take the first step. He found Valentina on the back porch, where she often went to have a few minutes of silence. With a light touch on her shoulder, he caught her attention. "You always find the best places to escape the chaos, don't you?" said Arthur, with a soft smile. "It's not chaos, it's work." "But I guess you're not here to talk about that, are you?" replied Valentina, crossing her arms. Arthur sighed. "No, I'm not. I'm here to tell you that for the first time in a long time, I feel like I've met someone who isn't interested in what I have, but in who I am. And that means a lot to me." Valentina raised an eyebrow, surprised by his sincerity. And you think a nice speech will convince me? I'm not that easy to win over. Arthur laughed. I never said it would be easy. But I'm willing to try, even if it takes time. Meanwhile, Miguel found Amanda near the casino entrance. He seemed calmer, different from the impulsive man from before. You're leaving, aren't you? He asked, seeing Amanda with her bag. Yes, Miguel. It's time to move on. As much as I have feelings for you, I can't stay by your side until you know who you really are. Miguel took a deep breath. I understand, and I promise that I will use this chance to find myself. I just hope that someday our paths cross again. Amanda gave a sad smile. Perhaps, but until then, take care of yourself. She left without looking back, leaving Miguel alone, but determined to do something different with his life. Back on the balcony, Valentina finally broke the silence. You know, Arthur, I never thought that one day I would have someone like you say those things to me. But if you think I'm going to abandon my life and run into your arms like in a romance movie, you're sorely mistaken. Arthur smiled, recognizing her defiant tone. I don't expect anything like that. I just want you to know that for once I'm willing to bet on something that isn't guaranteed. Bet on you. Valentina laughed, shaking her head. You and those bets, but I'll give you a chance, Arthur, not because you asked, but because I want to see where this goes. As the two shared a moment of understanding, the casino continued its routine. However, something had changed forever. Everyone there had learned that in the end, the biggest bets don't involve money, but courage, honesty, and the willingness to risk your heart.